Hey, good afternoon. This is Robert Griswold of Ready Made Resources on the Ready Report with Tony, my friend from Heroes Nation .tv. We just want to take a minute. A lot of people ask about gear and what gear they should acquire. And we don't want to make this sound like an infomercial, but at the same time, we want to tell people because all you have to do is look around today and see that we are really in deep trouble as a nation. Every foundation of America is being attacked, from our infrastructure, our borders, our money, our morals. Everything is under attack. And we don't know from day to day whether we're going to be experiencing a grid down network, a collapse of the dollar, which they say is coming. We watch in horror as we see food industries and food supply chains break down, burn down, blow up. And it just, after a while, it just begs credulity that it just is all happening by happenstance. 18,000 cows just burnt up in one fire that they had. And we watch the price of everything starting to skyrocket. We watch electrical grid problems. We watch the current administration have a war on energy, whether it's natural gas or oil, whatever. There's a war on energy. And so we are really at a very, very vulnerable part vulnerable time in our nation's history. And as we see, a lot of Americans are doing something about it. A lot of people are preparing with food, they're preparing with water, they're preparing with medical supplies and different things. But there are two things that I think a lot of Americans don't look at in their prepping scheme, and there's two reasons why. One is radio communication, and I think a lot of people are afraid of radio communication. There's a learning curve to it. And so they figure it's easy just to ignore it. But I can tell you from operational experience, radio is one of your best friends you will ever have. And then the other one is people ignore it because it does have a high price point to it. It is why at Ready Made Resources we do offer financing on it, but it's night vision equipment. This type of equipment is a game changer. I mean, literally, it changes you from a person who can only see from 12 hours a day to a person who can see 24 hours a day. With modern night vision, it is absolutely incredible how well you can see with it. It literally changes darkness into daylight, and it allows you to be operationally, secure and operationally fit, that even in the darkest of nights, you can see out hundreds and hundreds of yards of what's going on around you. And we all know that, especially in a grid down situation, electricity goes off, you're going to have bad people doing bad things at night. That's when they come out. With that, Tony, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. How you doing?
Doing well. A testimonial. You got a piece of our night vision equipment. What did you think when you looked at it from the first time?
Well, Bob, you sent this up about I would say 6 months ago. So we found it to be a little different than what we're normally using up here from the past. The stuff that you sent is definitely top grade. So what we did is when we heard your show even years before, and you were talking about night vision and so forth, way before we started Heroes Nation, the broadcast, and we brought you on with the Ready Report. You had sent one of these up to the studio. So we took a look at it and we tested it. There was a dog lost in the neighborhood. Some woman couldn't find her dog. And I'll tell you this thing, you take off the cap on this, I just want to show people what it is. It's the exact same thing you have. Okay. And then you take this off like this, and then you screw it on the side to a head strap like this, just like this. And as soon as this thing went on, it, like you said, hundreds and hundreds of yards away, and it lit up the whole field. We ended up finding the dog. So we did find the dog, but it was jet black. I mean, you couldn't see a hand in front of your face. So we had one of these. She had called us up and she says, "Can you help me look for my dog?" And then my wife and I went out there, her being a Marine. We went out there, we hooked this up. My wife was using this, and we ended up finding the dog. But this thing lights up it just takes total darkness and lights it up like as if somebody turned on a light. The sun, the sun was just looks like daylight, goes from nighttime to daylight. And um, what we did is we're trying to get everybody else on board, especially like the times that we're living in with Title 42 lifting. Okay. And we have thousands, if not millions of illegals crossing the border. They don't know who's coming across the border, where they're coming from, what they're capable of doing. You can have all the equipment you want, but if you can't see in the dark, it don't mean nothing. I always tell people it's like having a gas grill. You tell people I got the grill and we got the patio and we're all set to go, but there's no propane. So you can have all the equipment to protect your home and so forth. But if you can't see in the dark, you can't see what's out there, especially what's coming over the border. I mean, they move in the middle of the night. In the darkness of the night, they operate where they'll just, they'll slither right in your backyard. They'll come through, they'll cut through the fields and stuff like that. And with that being said, if you can't see anything, you can't protect yourself.
Protect yourself.
What you don't see, I mean, it's almost like a fish out of water. And a lot of people, when you mention that to them, they say, well, that looks great. That I like to have that piece of equipment, but it's really expensive. I go, well, listen, cut back on something. Maybe you're spending too much money in maybe one area of prepping, instead of buying like 100 cases of water, you cut back maybe, and only get 20 cases. And I'm just using that for an example, but just cut back in some areas and save the money, because and these are, correct me if I'm wrong, Bob, but aren't these coming into shortage right now? Like a lot of places you call, you can't even get these.
Yeah, some people are months out. The thing is, I know a lot of people who have a lot of guns and they don't have night vision or something like that. And I'm telling you, with a pair of night vision, a trained operator will know how to take everything you own from you. That's the thing. You can have your guns, you can have your food, you can have your medical supplies, you can have everything. But a trained operator with a pair of a PVS 14, that's what you're holding, is a PVS 14, Papa Victor Sierra 14. The person with that is going to be able to take everything you own away from you. It comes, you can get night vision in this is called a monocular. And then I have
that's what I have here. I have the monocular, which is one eye. It just
Yeah.
comes over, it comes down like this.
And this is a binocular, so you can get it in a dual tube. People always ask me, which would you prefer? Well, obviously the binocular, it affords you a little better visibility. I mean, less strain on your eye, because both eyes are seeing through the night vision versus one eye not seeing through night vision, one eye seeing through night vision. But the nice thing about this is if the battery ever does run out while you're wearing it, you still have one eye that's acclimated to normal night vision. This is what the average foot soldier in the military, this is exact kind of piece of equipment they get. So there's a reason why the military spends billions and billions of dollars on night vision and thermal equipment. And just a moment to define the terms. Night vision takes minor bits of light. Some people used to call it starlight. It takes minor amounts of photons floating around, amplifies them so that, as you said, you can, when you can't see your hand in front of your face, you can see out hundreds of yards. And then there's a piece of equipment called thermal. This takes any kind of heat image and it multiplies it, so that if I'm looking out in a field and I see, an animal, a person, whatever, I'm going to see a heat signature of that animal. Both have a very, very good characteristics. Both are very necessary and needed. And as I say, a lot of times, if you mix thermal and night vision, it is the perfect marriage. The problem with thermal is that I do not have facial recognition. With a night vision device, I can actually look at you, Tony, and see that's Tony. With a thermal,
Right.
I can't do that. So I can't drive a car. I can't hike through the woods with a thermal. With a night vision, I've done it many times. I've hiked through the woods. I've done that. I've actually driven a car. Don't try that at home, ladies and gentlemen. I can drive a car with night vision on, no headlights on, nothing. Like I said, don't try that at home. But so in a grid down situation, if you didn't want to advertise the fact that you were driving down the street, you can actually just turn your headlights off and drive. That's how good these pieces of equipment are. So,
So Bob, a couple questions. Is there a what's the difference between, like, why would somebody choose, like, because I looked up on some forums and they were explaining that some guys like the monocular over the binocular and the other half like the binocular over the monocular. And what would be the pros and cons between the two? Is it that you need the one eye where you can see naturally, but you would want to see like the maybe the left or right eye?
that's the thinking in the military, that they want to keep the soldiers one eye acclimated to normal night vision. So if the unit did go down, he still has one eye that's acclimated to normal night vision. Although it does, when you're looking through it and you have one eye seeing dark and one eye seeing that, it takes a little bit of adjustment to get used to it. Not a whole lot, but a little bit of adjustment. Whereas when you look through the binocular, both eyes are seeing, the electronic image of what night vision portrays. This is my personal unit here, and I really like it. I've taken it out many, many nights and, gone hiking with it or used it to eradicate. We had a rabbit problem for a while, and I can use it to hunt rabbits very easily. They make what's called an infrared aiming laser that goes on a weapon, and that's an infrared, so you don't see the laser beam without the night vision. So I can then put that laser on my weapon, and then if I point that laser at something, once I sighted it in, at night, I can hit that target at hundreds of yards away. And so,
Now, Bob, you had a monocular thermal. Do you also get that in binocular?
you can, but generally you don't need to do that.
Okay.
The thermal unit is a little different. When you see that thermal image through a monocular, you're going to understand that, oh my gosh, I can do anything I need to do with this. We were out trying to round up some cows the other night that got out. What a fun thing that was. And, I immediately just scanned around and I could see them standing out in some fields somewhere, where if I had to go out, I've never found them at night without that thermal. The thermal, they just show up like sore thumbs. Because I just see this glaring white hot image of a cow, and I can tell it's a cow, and we could go round them up. So it's very nice for that. But again, if you have predators, or let's just say you have a what they call a Tiawaki, a thing happen, or a grid down, a breakdown of rule of law, you're going to be able to clearly see anyone approaching your property from a long way away. And, a lot of these people are going to be coming and they won't have the best of intentions. They're going to come looking for resources, whether that's human resources or, just food, water, guns, whatever, that they can take money and the ability to defend yourself in an increasingly lawless society. That's what really scares me, Tony, is, I just told you, we just had another grandson. Just 2 days ago, we had a grandson, and in the world that these people are going to be growing up in is increasingly lawless. I just watch just acts of brutality happening with more and more frequency. And as a father, grandfather, husband, my passion is the protection of my family. I think God, that's one of the mandates God gives a man, is the protection of his family. And I want to be able to do that to the best of my ability. Now, I want to say that I have no bloodlust. I'm a Christian man. The last thing I'd ever want to do is take or injure a life. But if it ever came down to the fact, if it's somebody's going to hurt my new grandson, or my son, my daughter-in-law, my wife, I know I'm going to take care of business. And there's these people out there today, they have no regard for life whatsoever. They demonstrate.
Well, Bob, we thought that things were going to get easier. Things were going to get better. It doesn't look like it's going to. It looks like it's going to get worse. We're predicting here at the studio. We deal with a lot of shows and a lot of broadcasting, and the investigative stories. We take in a lot of intel reports from around the country. It's only going to get worse.
Well,
and
Tony, one of the things we
got to
see,
be prepared for this.
Yeah, one of the things we see, just to give you an idea, is a lot of Chinese age, fighting age men of military age coming across our border.
Right.
And people in China just don't wake up one morning and say, I'm going to go down to the embassy and get an exit visa and go visit the United States, and I'll
Mhm.
sneak through coming through Mexico.
Exactly.
These are, I'm not saying everyone that is, but I'm saying these are saboteurs. These are future people that are going to come to destroy infrastructure. They're coming. They're on here at the behest of the Chinese government as saboteurs and secret agent type people, to come and to infiltrate and destroy our country. We see this massive human invasion coming across our southern border right now, and one thing you can't deny: massive crime is coming with it. We've watched it happen. The trafficking, the human trafficking, the fentanyl. People on the border now are no longer safe. The drug cartels, all this that goes on, and it's being spread throughout the United States. And as I said earlier, lawlessness is spreading throughout our land, and it's going to be, I think, it'll fall on the heads of households and people to defend their communities. I'm a community prepper. I don't believe in Rambo type prepping. I want to support my community, and should our community ever face a situation where we have a threat that comes against our community, I want to be able to help protect my community,
Right.
elderly,
Right.
whatever, and we can organize our churches, our civic organizations, our people, in order to protect. We've used these thermal units. We had a boy lost in the woods, and we had one of our thermal units out there. Now the boy just happened to wander in, so my unit didn't find him. But you could go out, you can do search and rescue with it. With Craig Sawman Sawyer, we've donated equipment to them for Veterans for Child Rescue. And so this equipment has so many purposes for it. One of the things I want to tell people, there's a lot of scamming going on with night vision. Real military grade night vision, it doesn't need any what's called infrared light sources. A lot of cheap night vision has a big infrared illuminator. You don't see it because your eye doesn't pick it up, but it's what makes the night vision work. Well, when you use a piece of night vision equipment like that, you stick out like a sore thumb.
Right.
I mean, you're glowing like a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like I told you in the studio, we had some of that equipment in here. And when you put that equipment up against this, you'll see the difference. And I know what
it's
you're
a
talking
huge
about.
difference. Yeah.
This is
Um,
military grade. This is what you call top grade right here. It doesn't
yeah.
get any better than this.
And when you buy a pair of night vision, you will always get a specification sheet on the tube. If you're buying night vision without that specification sheet, you don't know what you're buying. So just make sure you know what you're buying. And also with even inside of a piece of equipment like this, you can put a junkie tube, tubes that have a lot of spots. They're called artifacts. They don't affect the performance of the tube, but they're definitely an irritant. You'll see little black spots. Some of them can be pretty big and gnarly, versus a tube that's spotless, clean. There's other things, figure of merit, that you want to look at, that so you know how good the tube is. It's like I tell people, you can go out and buy a 4-cylinder Mustang, or you can go out and buy a Shelby Mustang. Both of them are Mustangs, but that Shelby Mustang is going to perform a whole lot better than a 4-cylinder Mustang.
That's right.
These PVS 14s are towards the Shelby version of that Mustang. And so that's what you want. And when it comes time to protecting your family and taking care of business like that, really, I don't think you should spare an expense.
No,
Again,
and Bob, when it comes to getting stuff like this, I mean, if they don't have the full amount up front, you have financing.
yeah, we have
So let's
finances.
let's
So
talk about that for a second. What would something like this, a unit, and I got the same thing you got. You sent this here for us to test at the studio here, and we've been testing it and putting it up against other products, and it come out it's number one. It's at the top. What would something like this cost? This 14?
well, they start at about $3,300, and then they can go up. I mean, obviously, when you get a binocular, you've double the cost. Plus, you have a bridge that goes in it, so you can go quite high. They're aviation grade, but um, PVS 14s that are designed that are good enough to fly with. The one you hold in your hand, you could drive a car with it, and so
Now, on your website, there was different PVS 14s. There was several of them, and they differed in price. So what's the difference between the units? They look the same, but
The quality of the tube that goes in it. Now that we don't sell garbage night vision, so we're not going to
right.
sell the crummy tubes, but you can get really good aviation grade tubes at the price is it's going to vary quite a bit.
Okay.
So,
And this one would get hooked up to this strap here on
right,
this,
and again, you know,
and then it
or
screws on.
you can get a
Let me do
helmet
this right
package.
now.
This is my personal helmet. These are hearing for my radio, and it just clips right on, like that. And so that's how it looks for me when I go out at night. And the nice thing is I can flip this up out of the way. And that's why people, I think the advantage over a helmet versus that's called a headgear that comes with the unit itself. I definitely like the helmet. We have a helmet package that you can purchase as an option with your night vision. When you do the financing, it's gonna cost you about $150, $175 a month to buy it. But I'm just telling you, look at the times in which we live. We're living in extremely perilous times. You know, grid down. We've all seen what happens when the grid goes off. The zombies come out. You know, especially if you live in the city, and people say, well, I live in the city. Well, you can turn the power off very, very easily, and do that. Well, and then there's other misnomers, like I'm just going to shine a flashlight in your eye. They've watched too many, you know, Hollywood movies where it blinds people. Night vision doesn't do that. I wish I could completely dispel that myth that modern night vision is auto gated. It auto adjusts for light. So even if I took a very powerful flashlight and shined it in it, it's not going to hurt your eyes at all. Not at all. It auto shunts down. And so that's it. But, you know, again, with a piece of modern night vision, I can definitely go out and patrol at night and see what's going on. I could drive a car at night. I have facial recognition. I could hunt at night. Like I said, we had a rabbit problem and we went out and took care of a lot of rabbits that were eating our gardens down. So I could hunt at night with it. And so it really affords you something that no other piece of what you would say survival or prepping equipment can afford you. It is the one piece of equipment that the average American can acquire that is going to dramatically change your ability to survive in a grid down or a breakdown of a law and order. And that's the thing. We see this breakdown in law and order happening at an unbelievable rate. It's just all the time now, we're just seeing breakdown of law and order. People going into stores and smashing and grabbing, home invasion type things going on. Just in this country, law and order's breaking.
Yeah.
And so it's coming to the point that you're going to have to make this decision, whether you prep or not, whether you do anything to position your family to survive what's coming. I'm a firm believer in chance favors the prepared mind. You know, Noah and Joseph in the Bible both prepared an ark and prepared grain silos and prepared food. And, you know, I just think that we should take the example of history and say, this is what we need to do. I could not imagine my situation, my prep situation without night vision and thermal.
Yeah.
I have both.
Now, Bob, this particular unit here, as soon as you take the caps off and you look through the viewfinder here, in the front, it says reset off, on, IR, and full. Can you explain that when somebody gets a hold of something like this with these?
Yeah, well, you turn it on.
I just want to show the people what I'm talking about.
Yeah, when you turn it on, it you'll see the white phosphor, and I want to turn it on, you know, right
I'm going to
now.
turn it on now. You could probably see right.
Yeah, that's what you
Yeah.
would see at night if you point it up to the camera. You don't want to leave it on too long without that cap
Okay.
on. Put the cap on it, and you can still see the training cap. That training cap. No, the other one. That one.
Okay.
Now turn it back on. That's a day training cap. That allows you to go out during the day with your night vision on and point it up to the camera now so people can see. That's if you were out at night, that's what you would see. It's that good. Now I don't think you have it quite focused, but you will see
Yes.
crystal
So
clear.
Bob, you're saying that during the day, if you're using this for daytime, you would keep this cap on.
Now, the only time you're going to be using it daytime is if you're sighting in an infrared laser on a weapon. You don't need this during the day. I mean, it's
Okay.
obviously for nighttime use. So you can put the day training cap. If you'll notice, it does have that little bitty small hole in it, as you
Yeah.
can see, that allows just enough light to simulate daytime. There you go. Yes. So it simulates, daytime by reducing 99% of the light. Um, with that said, you can take that out. And if you wanted to sight your laser in, because an infrared aiming laser, excuse me, an infrared aiming laser, it's just like a scope. You have to do windage and elevation sight in, but that's what it is. So night vision is going to give you an advantage that nothing else you will ever get is going to give you. And that's why I so heavily recommend it. That and thermal. This is a thermal. This is a more expensive unit. This unit
What's
here,
what does something like that run?
well, this is my personal one, and it's about $8,000. But you
Okay.
can get a thermal unit like this for $675, $700. We have them at Ready Made Resources, and this is going to see out a couple, 200-300 yards. So as you see, I mean, there's a thermal image of a dog. So if you were out at night and saw your dog, that's what you're going to see right there.
Right.
Okay. So you're going to know it's a dog. The thing is, this is also rifle mountable. So it's actually a scope that you can put on a rifle to use it as a scope. But with that said, if anybody has questions on night vision, its use, you can give me a call at Ready Made Resources, 800-627-3809. I can go into more of the details with you. Just a word of caution, make sure you know what you're buying. Buying used night vision, there's a reason why somebody's selling it. And they might just need the money, but they might be selling a defective piece of equipment or a substandard piece of equipment. That FOM number I mentioned earlier, 1800 is generally recognized as a third generation FOM rating. This guy called me up and told me he bought his night vision a little cheaper than what I was advertising it for. So I asked him to pull out his spec sheet. And I asked him what the FOM was, and it was like 1400. Well, that's a second generation unit. Somebody didn't tell him the truth. And it's with all things, just buyer beware, buyer know what you're doing. So he sold him a second generation unit versus a third generation unit. And that's what I see. If you're looking at night vision online and they're not giving you the specifications of the tube, the figure of merit, of some other things called EBI, Halo, like that, be very, very suspicious. If you call me up, I will tell you what the FOM is on any unit. I will tell you any of the specifications that you want. I can send you a digital picture through the night vision, because we want you to know that you're getting at Ready Made Resources, you're going to get what you pay for. And like I said, unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there selling night vision that is not up to what they. It's not that they're false advertising; it's just that they're implying it's something it's not.
So Bob, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, like when you go to turn this on and you're in total, if you're outside and it's like you got the stars out of the moon, it uses that starlight and it helps amplify that little you can see in the total darkness.
You can
But if
run
it's
through the
like,
woods. You can
but
run
if
through the woods with it on.
but if it's pitch black, what do? You turn on the IR, that
Okay.
infrared?
Yeah. Well, night vision does need some light to work. If you notice, it does have an infrared setting. Now, you normally don't want to use that. And you normally don't need to use it. But normally, if you need to use that infrared setting, it means you're like maybe in a house, curtains drawn, and the power's out. And you can turn that infrared illuminator on, and it will turn it into Christmas. But the problem with that is once you go from passive to active, anybody else with night vision can see that infrared light source. So you want to use it judiciously. I do use it at times. If I'm out, I can actually just take it and go click, 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 and signal. Maybe 2 for no, 3 for yes. So I can signal with it, not just flash, 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 real
Right,
quick,
right.
and signal with it. There's so many things you can do with night vision and thermal. It's really hard to do it in just a few short minutes, but it is indispensable. It's an indispensable piece of equipment in these days in which we live.
And
And
Bob, the charging on this, do people plug this into their
excellent
computer?
question. Excellent question. You don't need to charge it. All it takes is it uses a little compartment right here. You unscrew it, and in there goes one AA battery.
Yep.
That AA battery will last about 40 hours. Yes, you heard me right. It'll last about 40 hours. And
Which is a
today,
lot, which is a
yeah,
lot.
yeah. I mean, if you go out 8 hours a night, that's 5 nights out. And most people aren't going to go out 8 hours a night for 5 nights. And today, with
If you
today's
got a pack of
battery,
batteries with you, you can go far with that.
yeah, with today's battery technology, you get good batteries, they last 10 years in the package, and you can get, box stores, Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, you can get those 24-pack batteries, and do that. The thing about the helmet package I like, is that I have a counterbalance on the back, and I have a battery pack back here that has, that has a flashlight in it, but I have some batteries, that I store back here. So I can carry extra batteries with me. So, you can do that and store extra batteries back in that battery compartment. But this is my helmet package. Like I said, I prefer the helmet over the head crusher. And so if anybody has any questions, just feel free to give me a call. Again, 800-627-3809. Tony, I think your mic just went, you muted it. Yeah, your mic is definitely muted. You're still muted. I can see the little mute button, where you're muted. There
Yeah,
you go.
I'll edit this out anyways.
Mhm.
Bob, you've been in the business for years. You know your equipment. Dave Hodges stands behind your business. He's known you for years. When I talk to Dave, he says, "Yeah, the best equipment. If you're looking for the best equipment, is somebody that's very knowledgeable in it. It's definitely Ready-Made Resources." And like I said, we got this in the studio and we put this up against several night visions. This came out as top of the line. All of our editors here and our broadcasters, they know that when they tested this against all the other pieces of equipment, they said this was the best one they've had. And of course, like I said, Bob also has thermals. So if you're looking for thermals, Bob's got the thermals too as well. So Bob, are there some glass that you can buy where it's got both, or you have to switch?
No, your brain has a hard time interpreting both a thermal and a night vision image at the same time. The
Okay.
military has tried this for years and has not been successful with it. Supposedly it's around the corner, but it's also very expensive and it will be restricted to military use only. If you get a pair of a PVS 14, if you get an infrared aiming laser, you're going to be so far above the curve on most people that should, or when law and order breaks down, or the lights go out, you're going to be able to not only protect yourself, but if you have a community defense, a community thing, home, whatever, home watch, whatever that is, you're going to be able to watch out for your community, and you're going to be able to do a lot of good with this.
Right.
And that's what I tell people. It's all about doing good. It's all about protection of life. It's all about, being a good citizen and taking care of myself, my neighborhood, my friends and family. So that's why I do what I do.
Right.
And like I
Right.
said, at Ready-Made Resources, we've been doing this for 28 years. So
Yeah. Bob, you deal with a lot of products. We were up in your studio. We were filming up there for commercials and stuff. And we've been up in your studio. And with all the products that you have in there, I mean, you have water filtrations, the food preparation. I mean, some of that food will last 20 years the way it's packaged.
25, yeah.
And we opened up a couple packages. That food it tastes better than some of the stuff you get off the shelves in the store from the same day. With all the products that you have, I would probably, this is my personal opinion, I would put this at the top of the list. You
Night
got to
vision,
have this first. I mean,
night vision and communication are top
communication.
shelf. Yeah, you have to be able to communicate with friends and family, and you have to be able to see at night. It is absolutely essential. The military spends billions and billions of dollars on communication equipment and night vision thermal equipment. There is a reason why.
And everything else is secondary. Bob, the communications, are you talking about also not only CB radio, shortwave, sideband? What are we talking?
Well, basically any form of communication. I mean, they say a one-eyed man is king in the land of the blind. So that if you have any ability to communicate, you're vastly improved over, yelling out your window to your neighbor. And that's what some people might be done to. I would highly recommend people go to a website called brushbeater.org. The gentleman there teaches some really good radio classes. You go through that radio class, and he also has night vision training courses. Doug Thornton, is doing a course here, active shooter course, where
Yes.
people are going to be able to, and that's just in, little over a month, 23rd, 24th, 25th, I think, of June. And you're going to be able to use thermal and night vision. You can go to Ready Made Resources. Across the top, there's a banner you click for the training course. Doug is a former DHS agent and a former Marine. He's going to be having a course here where you're going to actually learn what to do in an active shooter situation. And like I said, there'll be training at night. So you'll be using night vision and thermal. Even if you don't have it, it'll be provided for you. So you'll actually get to see what it is like to use this type of equipment. Brushbeater.org has an excellent training courses on radio equipment. And there's a lot, a lot you can do with radio equipment that you can't even imagine. It's more than just talking. It's radio equipment basically is meant to listen. I want to listen more than I want to talk. I want to know what the other guy's thinking. I don't want him to know what I'm thinking. So you mix communication equipment and night vision equipment together, and you've got a pair that, it's very difficult to beat it. Very, very difficult. So,
Right.
yeah.
So where can they go now to call you, even for night vision, radio equipment, and talk about the website
Yeah.
and the phone number that they can reach you at, and
Well,
the financing?
Yeah, our website is readymaderesources.com. That's all one word, readymaderesources.com. Phone number is 800-627-3809. Again, 800-627-3809. If you're interested in financing, all you have to do is go and put whatever piece of equipment you want in your cart, go to checkout, and there's a little button that says pay over time. We use a company called Bread. It'll tell you what your payment is. It's based on your credit score, how long a payment, how long the term is. Nice thing about Bread, there's no prepayment. So let's just say you financed it for 2 years, and after 6 months you paid it off. You don't have to pay all that interest. You pay it off you just pay just the interest you did for 6 months. So that's all available to anybody who would qualify. I see very few people not qualified, but so if you want night vision, you don't want to shell out all that money up front, you can do it over time.
Bob, what's the binoculars run?
They start at about 6,000, and then they go up to very, very expensive. If you get an aviation grade set of binoculars, you can pay $10,000-$12,000.
Okay.
But they
Well,
are
this
not.
was interesting.
Yeah.
The night vision.
That $12,000 pair of aviation grade night vision is very, very nice.
Yeah.
Say that.
Yeah. I mean, if you're you got a missing person at sea and you're flying around up there, that's what you want.
Yeah. Dig in your backyard and find a bunch of gold. There you go. So, but anyhow, Tony, I thank you very much for this time. And anybody who has any questions, just give me a call, 800-627-3809. I'll be glad to walk them through. If you see another product and you want to compare mine to it, give me a call. We'll just compare spec sheets. And I promise you, I think you're going to get a better deal with us.
Thank you. You all set? Did you